After a busy week, I love a bit of hunter-gathering, so I can grab the wherewithal for a really relaxing weekend of cooking and eating. Right, creme fraiche, double cream. Well, it is the weekend. Those will be nice and quick. Some mince meat.
Have a nice day.
You too. I love the changing pace of weekend cooking. From the quickly thrown together but still special supper on a Friday to the traditional treat of a Sunday blowout. My weekend kicks off with scallops and Thai-scented pea puree. I relax into Saturday with pasta alla genovese. That's linguine with a perked-up pesto. My Sunday lunch is the ultimate comfort meal. I've got meatloaf and baked potatoes with special blue cheese dressing and a strawberry and almond crumble. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Nice weekend. This is the best way to ease myself into that Friday night feeling. Scallops with Thai-scented pea puree. Peas have been drained, obviously cooked, and cooked until properly tender. And I'm trying to get all of them into the blender. And although I say peas, in fact they are petits pois, that's what it says on the label. And they are indeed very small little peas, tender and sweet. What makes the peas Thai scented is this Thai green curry paste. But I call it scented and not actually Thai, because it isn't Thai. As is evidenced by this creme fraiche. But anyway, what's wrong in giving a new twist to old favourites? And I really like to give everything in my pantry as broad a use as possible. Okay, quick blitz. Quick spatch down or spoon down. The scent of this is quite divine. And we're done. I'm going to keep the lid on so the pea puree stays hot. And now for the scallops. I'm going to cook the scallops in butter, not a lot, but just a bit. And as I always do, I'm going to add a small amount of oil, just groundnut oil, and this will stop the butter from burning. Now that the butter has melted and is warm but not smoky, shall add these plump little scallops. Scallops come in quite a few sizes. I suppose these are somewhere around the middle, and I think about 6 a head is fine, so I've got 12 here. I love the bouncy sweetness of scallops, and actually you might think that the sweetness of peas alongside would be too much, but there's something fantastic about the Thai green curry paste, all that chilli and garlic and lime and lemongrass and other astringent spices. It really adds sourness and a bit of edge. The scallops should need about 2 minutes aside, if that, and when they're cooked, right at the inside they'll be tender but still a teeny bit translucent. On the outsides, I want them almost caramelised, and that is why I'm using a slightly bigger pan than these sweet little scallops would seem to need. If I were to shove all these scallops into a smaller pan, they would braise and not fry. These are cooked, and now shall convey or attempt to convey these sweet little fat coins of scallop to the bowls that await. Let them huddle on one side. I'm going to turn the golden, if not bronze juices in the pan into a little gravy just by cutting a lime and squeezing out the juice. I'm not worrying if actual strands of fruit fall into the pan too. For me, that's even better. Just want to make sure I'm deglazing thoroughly, that's to say picking up all those sticky bits of caramelised scallop juice. Swill in the pan and over. And here we are, lovely bit of luscious gravy. Right, now it's peas time. I'm going to have a taste first, just to see if it needs any extra salt. Doesn't need anything except to be eaten. Delicious. But I think a greedy helping of this is all to the good. And just because I've got them here, I'm going to add a few leaves of Thai basil. It's kind of more licoricey than European basil, but you know what? Coriander is just fine too. These can go to my tray for supper. And one last thing, some achingly, gloriously cold beer. The weekend starts here. I wouldn't be able to count the number of times I've given my children pasta with pesto out of a jar for tea, and I'm not embarrassed about it. We all do it. But this Ligurian pasta, pasta alla genovese, is something completely other. Oh, it's fantastic. It's a little bit different. The premise is the same, but when I tell you that you start off with potatoes, just cubed as you can see, about a couple of baking potatoes. They're just tender, yes, potatoes. And then it has the pasta, basil, green beans. I love the convenience of a tub of pesto, but this is different. I suppose it's a bit like the difference between instant coffee and real coffee. There's a case to be made for both, but they are different. And if pesto out of a jar is black and white, this is Technicolor. And what's more, just such full-on fragrance. So the potatoes have had 20 minutes. The linguine will need about 11 minutes. So when I'm 4 minutes away from that, I will add the green beans. So they'll be cooked, but with a bit of crunch. And I cut the green beans in their packet, so it really makes it much simpler. Oh, I don't know why I do it, just so I can do it all in one. I rather like this. It feels wrong and yet good. There we are. May as well park the beans in here while the linguine cook. Now, although it does sound quite odd to have potatoes, and it may also sound as if I'm giving into, kiddie carbomania, actually it is a Ligurian tradition. And the thing about the potatoes is you can see now that they're beginning to crumble, but by the time the linguine have cooked, the beans have cooked, and my special pesto has been stirred in. In fact, what happens to the potatoes is that they turn into a kind of sweet sludge and help the sauce cover every strand. In with the beans. And while the beans cook, I can get on with the fabulous business of whizzing up a little pesto. Let me bring this in. Oh, stronger than I thought. Now, despite the bucolic appearance, these leaves were not picked in turquoise-skied Portofino, but in grey Battersea. But no matter, they smell fantastic. There's a lot of basil here. A good 2 fat bunches if you were buying from a greengrocer, or else I would say probably 4 supermarket packets. I find it easy to think of this in numbers, and normally I don't, which is to say nearly everything's 100. 100 grams of basil leaves, 100 grams of parmesan or pecorino, it's freshly grated, 1 garlic clove, not 100 garlic cloves, so 100 mils of extra virgin olive oil. Now, the extra virgin olive oil gives that fantastic, deep, almost peppery taste, but I don't want to use all the expensive stuff to whiz it up. So when I whiz, I'm going to add an extra 100 mils of regular olive oil just to help get it emulsified to the right texture. So I am ready for the blitzing. 100 mils here. And in a minute, this will become this fantastic, almost slightly pale snooker baize green. Now there's one other thing I like to do, and that is add a teeny bit of pasta water now. And I'm going to hive off another bit of pasta water just in case the sauce needs a bit more liquid later. Have a taste of both bean and pasta. Nice and crunchy. I'm not doing this well, but if I can muster up the strength, I am ready to strain this. Now it looks beautiful just as it is. It's going to look even more beautiful. I'm going to give a quick stir to help the potatoes start to break down. And now the pesto. I'm not going to add as much pesto as you might think. The Italians just keep the taste of the pasta there too. They don't drench everything in sauce. And you don't need to with this. It's so super fragrant that actually you want it to keep some delicacy. In with this. Look at the colour. If anything is guaranteed to make my children come to the table promptly, and nothing is really guaranteed to do that, it's the smell of this wafting up through the house. Add a teeny bit more liquid because there's a lot of pasta here, and I love the starchiness of the liquid as well. It's like a holiday without leaving the kitchen and without the hell of air travel as well. Can you see how the potatoes help that sauce just cling to each strand? Come on, you lot. Okay, you can start. Buon appetito. Obviously, eating plays a very important part of my weekend. Can't always linger as much as I'd like over Saturday lunch because there's so much else to do. But Sunday lunch, that's a different matter. And you know, my ideal way of spending Sunday is just giving myself up in the warm embrace of the kitchen. Meatloaf is such perfect weekend food. There's nothing like Sunday lunch when you eat the sort of food that you know you either have to go for a long walk or just slump on the sofa afterwards. This recipe starts off with a lot of onions. It has a very good vintage, this recipe, a good heritage. And I have been told that I must use duck fat. Now, luckily, I can get duck fat at my local supermarket, but if you can't, I would use butter with a teeny bit of oil. And in go all these onions. And the thing is, the onions cook and get sweeter and get very soft. And the duck fat will just give fantastic flavour and that sort of velvety smoothness that you normally associate with fantastic pâté. I managed to extract this recipe, I insisted upon it, from a very dear old friend, and this is his mother's recipe. She must have been born, really, I suppose, just after the turn of the last century, so it's good vintage. And I always add salt if I don't want the onions to crisp up. What the salt does is make the water start seeping slightly out of the onions so that they don't actually fry. But they will get a little golden. They'll be perfect. Meatloaf, well, obviously needs meat, and beef in particular. Good beef, freshly minced. It's about 900 grams here. The thing is, meatloaf needs to be juicy, and the trouble with pre-minced meat is that often it's sat there for a while. It's perfectly good quality, but it'll just be a little drier. And actually, it's not just the dryness, because these onions here will see to that a lot, but it makes it crumblier, so it'll be harder to carve. I am thinking of everything here. Now, the onions look gorgeous. I'm going to put them to one side just so they cool a little. Into the meat goes an egg, just helps bind it all together. And now some Worcester sauce, just to oomph it up a little. No spices, because I'm staying old school here. Nothing fancy, nothing novel. I want some breadcrumbs, about 100 grams. What the breadcrumbs do is bulk up the meatloaf and as well absorb all the meaty juices as it cooks. And now the tender, beautiful onions. Want all the duck fat in the pan. Right, I'm ready to get mixing. I'm going to move pretty smartish because it's overworking mince that makes it end up tough. This isn't difficult. And actually, this is something I always think about cooking, is that everyone seems to confuse complicated with time-consuming. Because yes, this is taking a bit of time. I mean, not a tremendous amount, but you have to think about it. But it's easy, and actually this sort of cooking is relaxing. It's the cooking that needs precision and a great deal of finicky detail. That is enough to send me over the edge. But then, that's not very hard. Now, what about half of this? I'm going to do the base first. So it really is just like a loaf. I want a flat, sort of oval-ish. I don't want any geometry professor telling me this isn't an oval. It's my meatloaf. So there's the bottom half. And now, inside my meatloaf are jewels. And these jewels are eggs, hard-boiled eggs. And when you cook the meatloaf, the eggs stay inside, they don't overcook, so that when you slice it, you will get a sort of disc of gold just beaming up at you. So now the top. I'm trying to smooth it all into one as best I can, but without being too worried. And now this baby just needs swaddling. And what I'm swaddling it with is bacon. Just going to put slices of streaky rindless bacon carefully over the meatloaf. I want a slight overlap. Doesn't really matter if the bits of bacon slightly burst apart when it roasts. Of course, the flavour from the bacon melts into the meatloaf, and at the same time it crisps up a bit, so it's like a rather lovely coating. Yes, there is duck fat. And yes, there is bacon. And the thing about meatloaf is that it comes from a time when food was fuel. It's meant to be filling. Having said that, I have put baking potatoes in the oven for everyone, and that's partly selfish, which is that I want to fill them up a bit on the potatoes, because one of the joys of meatloaf is a sandwich made with it later when it's cold. Here we are. Just needs a little tucking in. Now this is a Sunday lunch worth sitting down for. You know, just meatloaf and baked potatoes are fantastic together, but I feel a sense of Sunday lunch splurge coming on. So I want to conjure up a blue cheese dressing. Not that any sleight of hand is needed. It is incredibly simple. You have blue cheese, some of which I'm eating now. You have Worcester sauce. a splodge of brown sauce. Both of these provide tang and a small amount of sweetness, nothing sugary. More tang comes courtesy of some cider vinegar. And yet more is provided by buttermilk. I mean, it's the same thing really now as runny plain yogurt. I am going to try and mash these together without getting them all over me. Very moody looking. You know how delicious sour cream is on a potato? Well, blue cheese dressing just takes it that one notch higher. And it's for that reason I think I like to keep the tang there, because otherwise it would be too cloying. To give this the consistency of dressing, I need a quick trip to the frigo. A little bit of milk will dilute this. Try and be patient to be as serene as this sauce looks. Yum, yum. Look at this, just ready to be dolloped into a baked potato. I say, let's cut out the middleman. Nothing says Sunday lunch more than a crumble. And despite the unseasonality, I'm making strawberry crumble. In fact, because of it. Because when strawberries are a bit hard and unyielding and even a bit crunchy and sour, no, I shouldn't be buying them. But I'm always drawn to them, their luscious redness, which can deceive. And a crumble just turns them from disappointment into something deeply delicious. And I'm throwing together a strawberry and almond crumble. Just hulling the strawberries, which means pulling off these green bits, and throwing them into a regular pie dish. Before I get on with the crumble topping, I want to prink the strawberries a little. So I've got 25 grams of ground almonds. Sometimes when people make pies, they put flour or even ground tapioca in to soak up any excess liquid. I think ground almonds does the job so much better. And anyway, I want the taste. And some sugar. Got 50 grams of sugar. I know this is a lot, but this is only because these strawberries need it. And I know I've talked about using the almonds to sop up excess liquid, but I am bunging a little more liquid in. Some vanilla. I just love the nostalgic, welcoming scent of strawberries and vanilla. And now, though, the crumble. Basically, a crumble is really the same as pastry. It's flour and fat, in this case butter. I'm modifying it slightly. I am using flour, though, 110 grams of it. And I like baking powder. It's not orthodox, but I think it gives it just a little bit of a lift. Just a teaspoon. And into this goes 75 grams of cold unsalted butter, which I am cutting into dice. You can make crumble, obviously, with a machine, either with a freestanding mixer or a processor, but it really isn't difficult to make by hand. I think the best way I can explain how to make crumble by hand is by saying that you rub the pads of your thumb very sort of flutteringly against the pads of your index fingers and middle fingers. Love this feeling. Right, so look, that's it. And now into this bowl of pale golden crumbs, I'm going to add 100 grams of toasted flaked almonds. I want these partly to boost the almondiness, but also because they provide texture. And finally, sugar. Demerara sugar, again for texture, fantastic crunch. 75 grams here. And now I fork, I don't use my fingers, I fork just to keep everything separate. I want it to be combined, but without adding any heat. So the crumble topping, obviously enough, goes on top of the fruits. And I can't tell you what this is like, just with some thick cream poured over a bowlful. It really is like the taste of English summer on a winter's day. This just needs to go into the oven for half an hour. Meanwhile, my meatloaf can rest. Frankly, so can I, because all I need to do is steam some sugar snaps and then slice the meatloaf, and then it's time to share the joy. Right, Ed's mother's meatloaf.
Thank you very much.
That's a good bit there.
There, that looks very... very
Meatloaf is not meant to be elegant. I don't think. Baked potato, blue cheese dressing, chives for sprinkling.
Yeah, I love chives.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, sorry.
Yeah, onions cooked in duck fat.
Delicious. Well, look how nice they look.
Oh, well done, Ed's mum.
We're coming back to this side of the Atlantic, so crumble, anyone?
Yes, please.
I'm afraid I'm serving this a bit too generously. Luckily, I don't think this is a crowd that will mind.
You know, I wasn't expecting it to be strawberry. I mean, I saw the crumble and I thought, you know, but it's
I
how
always
delicious.
assume apple.
I've never heard of a strawberry
No,
crumble.
neither have I.
I know, it's to resuscitate.
You haven't lived.
I like it with cream, and it's like winter version of strawberries and cream. Wimbledon, and he's sitting down and playing no tennis.